The Hidden Route. The main Dark Elf force executed a lightning march over the plains of Twilight, while their scouts made diversionary attacks to draw away the attentions of High Elf patrols. Calidor marched straight towards the hidden mansion of House Korath. He knew that his hated brother was mustering his forces by now, ready to march out to meet him. If he could strike swiftly enough, he could catch the High Elves unaware, while they were still gathering their forces in the hidden vale. There was still one more obstacle for Calidor to overcome. The fortified mansion of House Korath was hidden high in the hills of dusk, and there was only one pass through the jagged hills. The pass was hidden by view by powerful enchantments and protected by magical gates that could not be opened by force. But Calidor knew the secret password that was needed to open the gateway. His scouts murdered the guardians of the gate with poisoned barbs shot from their crossbows, and Calidor uttered the 3 words that were needed to open the gate. Thus the way to the hidden vale of House Korath was open to the Dark Elves.
The battle for Eagle Pass is the third violent clash between the Dark Elves of Karan-Kar and the High Elves of House Korath. The outcome of this struggle decides whether the High Elf defenders of Eagle Pass can hold out long enough for Kaladin to assemble his troops and prepare his battle line. If the High Elves are victorious, they will enjoy considerable tactical advantages in the final battle. So, will the High Elves manage to prevail and hold on long enough to stop the advance of Melida and her Dark Elf vanguard? Well, we're about to find out, so enjoy how the battle unfolds. To begin the first turn of the High Elf movement phase, all units were given the order to advance, to form a solid defensive line, and to freely shoot any Dark Elf in range of their elven longbows. In the High Elf shooting phase, the western-sided bolt thrower claimed the life of a single Cold One rider. The western-sided bolt thrower this time took aim and fired a volley at the Dark Elf executioners, and yet again only managed to take down one of them. The eastern archer unit let loose a volley of arrows, taking the lives of 2 Dark Riders. The larger central unit of 20 elven archers let loose their salvo of arrows, targeting the Cold One cavalry unit, only for Paul to reveal that they were carrying the magical standard of shielding, providing the ultimate saving throw of 1+. The steadfast general ordered in frustration, seeing the arrows fall harmlessly off the Cold Ones, to centre their aim on the Witch Elves, which they managed to claim 3 lives of the Daughters of Cain. Doe-eyed Cold Ones passed their stupidity test, and the Dark Riders had to test for their obedience, passing on a 6. With the Cold Ones under their control, they had them venture forth towards a nice, soft, meaty target with the High Elf archers. Incensed now, in a frenzy, the Witch Elves and the Hag Queen start sprinting towards the High Elf defensive lines. The remaining Dark Riders open up with their repeating crossbows on the bolt thrower crew, but thankfully resulting in no wounds. Imrilian ordered his Lothar and Seagar to concentrate all of their arrows on the blood-curdling Witch Elves, and when the dust settled, only Melida stood and looked even more blood-crazed than ever. The High Elves cheered and praised as the arrows hit home and more of the Dark Elf kindred fell to their mortal wounds. The piercing bolts of the bolt thrower teared through the Dark Riders, killing all of them in a single volley. The slobbering Cold Ones were under their master's control this turn, and the Dark Elf obedience was brought into check. The Cold One commander gave out the cry to charge the High Elf weakest defence in the archers. Having no sense of fear, the High Elf archer line of defence stood bravely to withstand the crushing impact of the heavy-bodied Cold Ones. Dark Elves gave haste to bring themselves closer to the High Elf lines to allow them to engage in mortal combat, and the presence of their commander, Melida, gave them even more fighting spirit. Many High Elf warriors fell under the clawed assault of the Cold Ones and the lance tips of their masters. They tried to hold their nerve, but helplessness overcame them, and they turned to flee, only to be slaughtered by the Cold Ones as a scent of fear urged them into a feeding frenzy. The spirit of the bolt throw crew also broke, and they turned to flee back to abandon their station. Immarillion knew that he had to hold this last line of defense to save his people, so he ordered his Sea Guard to maneuver to face the Cold Ones. And the bolt thrower crew also looked to cover the right-hand flank. The archers let loose their last volley before the inevitable charge of the executioners, and fell a few more, much to their delight. But their hatred for the High Elves being so strong held their nerves in check, and they prepared to bear arms for the charge in the following turn. Leda licked her purple lips in anticipation for the following engagements as the Dark Elf warriors charged into Immarillion's front, and the executioners now in reach of the High Elf archers. Bracing for the charge, the archers let off their potential last volley as they unsheathed their swords for close combat. Immarillion looked around him and only saw the steel determination faces of his trusted Lothran Sea Guard. He met the gaze of the crazed witch Melida as she also joined the fray. The Hag Queen and her Sisters of Cain wheeled forward the Cauldron of Blood to be able to charge in next turn. The Cold One Knights turned to prepare a charge into the Lothran Sea Guard's flank. The Dark Elf executioners' reputation exceeded them as they tore into the High Elf archers, beheaded several of them, resulting in the archers to lose their nerve, flee, and then be cut down mercilessly. In combat, Istar, the High Elf champion, challenged the Dark Elf Witch General Melida in a duel to the death, in which she couldn't refuse as she wanted his head for killing all of her witches. Istar smiled as he activated the Black Gem of Nar and imprisoned both of them in time and space as to help protect his Sea Guard from her savagery and lust for elf blood. With Istar and Melida locked away in the gem spell, the Sea Guard prepare for the Dark Elf warrior initial charge, lock shields and brace for their impact. The Sea Guard spears thrust out in defense and managed to kill enough Dark Elves to win the combat. But their hatred of the High Elves was so strong they continued to fight and disregarding their losses. The High Elf turn began with rolling for the Black Gem, and thankfully the two combatants were locked in the gem spell for another turn. The archers and bolt thrower turned to face the Cold Ones and executioners. The bolt struck home, but only resulting in one of the cold-blooded lizards dying, much to the disappointment of the crew. And the archers also had a disappointing result in the single wounding shot being deflected by the executioner's heavy armour. The battle raged on in the centre of the table, as both High Elf and Dark Elf were equally committed in destroying each other. Both units pushed and thrusted spear and slash sword to find weak spots and advantages wherever they could find them to bring quick resolution to the fight. In the end, the Sea Guard prevailed in the combat, but yet again the Dark Elf hatred was not allowing them to give up any ground.
Back to Maynard.
Yay!
Paul's happy. The sheep bitch is released.
I haven't got to use a witch elf in forever. Because they only have 10, so they always die before anything happens.
Just seeing Paul's face when I said look at the Black Joanna, which is a dirty, dirty magic item, which I never take.
Yeah, did you never take?
I never take it. This goes against every fibre of my body.
This is what being a high elf does to you.
Yeah, that's right. You have to go dirty.
Melita was released from the spell, as we saw the charge in the flank from the Colwyn Riders, which boosted the morale of the Dark Elf warriors.
I'm tired. So I think you stole the.
I stole the frenzied.
You stole the one chance to use the Cauldron of Blood.
Oh, that's great. Good. Thank you.
But she still gets. She gets 3 attacks, doubled with frenzy, and she has like special double-handed magic items for.
Okay, well, you have fun, Paul.
With Melita released from the spell, she took her revenge and slayed Istar, the High Elf champion. And the overkill attacks weighed deeply into the High Elf ranks. Combine this with the Colwyn Knight charge, and the High Elf bodies swelled high in number. Even so, Immarillion tried to steady the nerves of his kindred, and fill their hearts with courage, and to fight back and hold out as long as possible. After the combat, Paul had to check if Melita had exhausted herself after her frenzied attack.
No, so she's tired. She's down to 2 attacks.
Okay.
The High Elf turn began with the archers on the eastern side reforming, and the bolt thrower team taking aim and releasing 4 bolts at the remaining executioners, bearing down on them. The combination of the bolts and arrows of their elf brothers in support saw the Dark Elf unit completely perish with no survivors. Melita challenged Immarillion to single combat, which Immarillion gladly accepted. With all her 5 attacks, none of them struck true. Immarillion replied, inflicting 2 wounds, but the Hag Queen and the Cauldron of Blood can act as mortal protection to her devoted sisters of Cain.
Oh, 1 special save.
Oh, yeah,
I'm alive with 1.
Oh, okay, nice.
Alright.
The Lothran Sea Guard, if not overwhelmed and against the odds already, saw the charge this turn of the frenzied and blood-drunk Hag Queen and her witches of Cain. Having never faced a Hag Queen in a game of Warhammer before, I think Paul needed his own cauldron to help him roll all his hands full of dice. After the fury of the Hag Queen's attacks, the dead were too many to number, and it looked ever more bleak if the High Elves were to survive and hold out this day. Moment of truth came in the ensuing challenge between Immarillion and Melita, and to my and Paul's surprise, the Witch General managed to fluff all her rolls to wound, and Immarillion took this chance and found an opening, resulting in the fatal wound to end the crazed witch's life. By the end of the bloodiest combat we had witnessed in the battle thus far, Immarillion and his Sea Guard managed to hold out and pass their break check, having lost the combat, as his Iron Will ability allows the unit to pass an unmodified leadership of 9, and the Dark Elves use this opportunity to lap around to get more attacks in the next combat. In the 6th High Elf turn, Immarillion began the attack with his superior initiative, but only managed to kill one of the Dark Elf warriors. The remaining Dark Elves managed to kill all the remaining Sea Guard and left Immarillion the sole survivor of the unit he commanded. And as it was not possible for Paul to kill all the remaining units in his last remaining 2 turns to seize total victory, he begrudgingly, as a true Dark Elf, accepted defeat, and we called the game with the High Elves able to claim all the bonuses granted to them for holding out several turns with units still able to defend the pass. In closing, I would like to thank the continued support and contributions that our Welsh storyteller Owen Staton brings to all these battle reports for the Crown of Command games. Please check out his podcast Time Between Times and Spectre by the Sea. And a massive thank you to my Storm Boys that help support the channel and allow me the time to make these videos for you to enjoy. Gork sends his love. He really does. And the next battle sees the final chapter in the campaign of Tears of Isha with the Battle of Brothers. So be sure to subscribe to be notified when that video is released. And if you do enjoy this video and would like to show your appreciation, could I please ask that you give me a like, comment and a sub to the channel? Gork and Walk would love that.